it up somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. Oh, my Straight Talk family, it's just past that hour when I should have already said greetings to the world. So I'm under the obligation to apologize for my slight tardiness tonight and to welcome you to another edition of Straight Talk for this another Monday night. And we are saying greetings to the world because we are on the World Wide Web. And of course, I'm first obligated to say good night to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And in fact, good night to the entire Caribbean region. And for those of you in the Kittitian division and the Caribbean diaspora, I say greetings to you wherever you are in the world. And I know that some of you are in Africa. I'm aware that some of you are in Europe. And some of you are in Asia. And a whole lot of you are all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I will say good morning. And I'm also at liberty to say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you find yourselves. And we normally have first-timers, and I thank all of you who continue to share that link. Please do not stop doing that, because when you do, we get first-timers. And for the first-timers, may I inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, on this program, you have a forum to express yourselves, like I said, freely. And on this program, we try as well to raise the level of national, regional, and international consciousness. We try to raise the level of national, regional, and international discourse by alerting all our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with the opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, I always hasten to pledge to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness. On this program, I want to forewarn you as well, in particular the first-timers, that absolutely nothing is watered down on this program to make it more interesting, not by omission, neither by exaggeration, because Straight Talk is not about sensationalism. We are not about creating excitement on this forum, especially if that comes at the expense of accuracy, because we lean on the facts, as it is my bounden duty to present, as I call it, the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance, transparency, accountability, integrity, wherever you are in the Federation and or across the globe. Because this program joins us together with people across our Federation. We are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world. Some we know very well, some we have met physically, most we have met spiritually. And for that we are grateful. Some will agree with the points we advance, the truth we advance on this program. And that's anticipated because we are a different people and we anticipate a diversity of views. We entertain, I should say, a diversity of views. But some will disagree, and I said that's fine. But what will sadden me, my people, is if we ever become disagreeable. So let us thank Almighty God, nonetheless, for helping us to understand, oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let us therefore hope and pray for the day when we all will sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks for those who share the link. As you bring us first-timers, please continue to do so. And for the first-timers, just to inform you that Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday night from 8 to 10 in the PM. And if you love the program, go tell it all over the mountain, go tell it all over the world. If you don't, please find a way to come and tell me. But I must remind you as well that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and your emails, and if you're so minded calling, the numbers are on your screens. There are those of you who like what I call the cloak of anonymity as well, because you don't want to be heard, and we understand why. So we give you access via our email platform, and that email address is also on your screens. And my Straight Talk family, I must all times welcome my Straight Talk Junior Brigade. That's an imperative. So give me the time to hail young Dwayne, Tristan, Jasmine, Shamar, Kevin, Rue, Jamal, Travis, Travon, Neema, my grandson, and Saraya, Elizabeth, and I'll never forget that special lady in St. Louis, Carla, as well, and those who we meet, who I meet on a regular basis, and you know who you are. Welcome. We normally start with our observation in review. But at the time when we highlight current issues, we do some reflection, we ask a few questions, my Straight Talk family, and we establish what we have learned as a people. It's a learning process. And after our observation and review, we will move to our thesis for tonight. I have titled An Hour of Decision, the United States and the Caribbean. And I promise that I will address in my full thesis the BHS, the Bassett of the Barbados High School, my Straight Talk family, because that's something that is baffling the whole world, where I think is well over 150,000 square foot of buildings, or square feet of buildings. I think that's the right thing to say. But they will be made in forms in Barbados and then shipped to St. Kitts. Someone drew my attention to the containers that they were packing. We saw Javon Liebert apparently went to Barbados. Not apparently, went to Barbados, we are told. And he showed us a container that was being stuffed to come to St. Kitts. And when I looked at it again, we saw a lot of rotten steel in the containers, corroded steel, if that's the right term. But we will come to the Basti High School as a thesis, a full thesis, sooner rather than later. Well, our first observation, my Straight Talk family, our attention, I should say, was brought to some Grenadian passports that are being sold in Abuja, in Nigeria. And we asked ourselves, what about St. Kitts Nevis passports as well? Because we know the CEO, St. Just, visited that country several times. And we know there are selling passports in Nigeria and other parts of Africa. But we haven't been able to get our hands on that information. But we saw this coming from Abuja in Nigeria.
Hello, good afternoon. Today is the 13th of March 2026. Yes, and we have new arrivals of passports for a family of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it comes with their citizenship certificate called CUR, Certificate of Recognition. Now, this passport takes 6 to 9 months. Your passport is out. And if you need more details regarding how you can acquire this passport for yourself and your family, you can come to our office at Abuja, World Trade Center, Abuja, 8th floor, World Trade Center, Abuja. I will give you all the details, all the information you need on how to acquire the passport if you are interested. This is a passport that exempts you from international tax. This is a passport that gives you global access to more than 140 countries, visa-free, European countries, China, Hong Kong, Singapore. This is a passport that allows you to do so. So if you need more information about this passport, hit me up on the DM or you can come straight away to our office. Take care.
So yes, my Straight Talk family, Grenadian passports being promoted by an IMA in Abuja in Nigeria. my geography is correct, that's in West Africa. And our second observation, my straight dog family, we looked at progress in Venezuela, in Caracas in Venezuela, and we saw the American flag being hoisted on the embassy after some 7 years since the U.S. pulled out of Venezuela. The American flag was hoisted a few days ago.
The U.S. flag is back up at the American embassy in Venezuela this weekend, 7 years after it was taken down at the compound in Caracas in 2019 when Washington cut ties with the Maduro regime. Now the dictator is in the U.S., he's in custody, and the embassy tweets on X that a new era has begun.
So yes, my straight dog family, the Venezuela flag once again mounted on the embassy there in Venezuela. And for our third observation, we moved to Iran. And don't know how many of us are following that of those military actions in Iran. But we bring you an excerpt from an interview on Fox with Senator Fetterman, a Democrat, but he's a one who will say what he wants to say irrespective of his party's position. He always comes from his heart, and he said this about Iran.
All right, thanks, General. Democratic Senator John Fetterman praising President Trump for doing, quote, what's right and necessary to produce real peace in the region. He sits on the Homeland Security Committee and joins us now. Senator, thanks so much for getting up this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
So, Senator, there are some on your side of the aisle, and to be frank, some of Republicans that don't agree with this action as well. But you support the president's action here. Why?
Well, because that was always the right thing. I mean, you can just put out, tweets and statements, to support peace, but to actually create real peace, you have to do these kinds of actions just like happened. Just like last year, too, when they to destroy their nuclear facilities. Sometimes peace is possible after these kinds of steps, and that's why I support those things. And I listened to my colleague from South Carolina earlier, and I even had the option, to talk to him before the State of the Union speech, and I encouraged it as well. And so I fully support these kinds of things, and I'm proud to stand with our military and Israel through this, and that was the right thing.
Yeah, you posted on X, you said Operation Epic Fury, President Trump has been willing to do what's right and necessary to produce real peace in the region. God bless the United States, our great military, and Israel.
And yes, my straight dog family coming from Senator Fetterman, a Democrat, yes, believe it or not, he praised his president, Donald Trump, for, in his words, doing the right thing, ensuring that Iran would never ever have a nuclear weapon. And supporting the soldiers and the military action there in Iran. And those are my observations in review for tonight. And I move right into my thesis, my straight dog family, which I have titled An Hour of Decision. The United States and the Caribbean. And my straight dog family, my fellow citizens, the Caribbean stands today at a moment of profound geopolitical change. The world is shifting rapidly, shaped by conflict, economic rivalry and the strategic competition of powerful nations. Tensions involving Venezuela and Cuba, alongside escalating military confrontation involving the United States, Israel, and Iran, principally, and this has intensified global uncertainty. Against this backdrop, we call Donald Trump convened the shield of the Americas Summit in Florida, my Straight Talk family, bringing together selected leaders from the Latin America and the Caribbean to discuss a new security framework, my Straight Talk family, for the Western Hemisphere. And we call the President welcome some 12 leaders to Mar-a-Lago.
This morning, I'm honored to welcome distinguished heads of state from across the Western Hemisphere for the first Shield of the Americas Summit. And it's something very, very special. Marco's been working on it very hard, so have a lot of other people, because it's a very important place for us. It's nice to be home. It's very, very important. You know, we go all over the world, 9,000 miles away, 12,000 miles away. I said, how long is this flight? Sir, this flight is 19 hours. I said, oh, that's great. I said, now I have flights that last for 2 hours. I like that better. Much better. But on this historic day, we come together to announce a brand new military coalition to eradicate the criminal cartels plaguing our region. And you have a lot of it. One of the things when we were talking backstage, you were telling me the crime, the cartels, and we're knocking the hell out of them where we can. We're going to go heavier. You saw what we were doing with the boats coming in. The boats, there's not a lot of people coming in by boats anymore. We knocked down drugs coming in by sea. Drugs coming in through water is down 96%. We're trying to find out who the other 4% are, because I think they're the bravest people in the world. Either that or they don't watch television.
My Straight Talk family, we mentioned before, and it bears repeating, that notably absent from the gathering were most leaders of the Caribbean community, CARICOM. And even more striking, we did mention, was the absence of the chairman of CARICOM and our Prime Minister Jew. And when questioned by journalists about the summit, the Prime Minister acknowledged that he had little information regarding the meeting, though he did confirm he had discussions with Marco Rubio on matters concerning St. Kitts and Nevis. He didn't give us the courtesy, or grant us the courtesy, of telling us what those concerns were, my Straight Talk family. But this was his response to a question.
In your capacity as chairman of CARICOM, over the weekend just past, there was the Shield of the Americas meeting. There are 35 nations that make up the Americas. 3 of those nations who were invited to the meeting come from the Caribbean. Of those 3, 2 from CARICOM were invited. Those 3 Caribbean nations were Dominican Republic, Guyana, Trinidad, and Tobago, and we know who the 2 from CARICOM are. Is there any discussion, because we would have known about this meeting ahead of the CARICOM summit here in St. Kitts and Nevis, was there any discussion about those CARICOM partners sharing with the rest of the grouping what those discussions were?
And my Straight Talk family, the response from our Prime Minister was, suffice to say, pathetic. And we will share it with you subsequently, my Straight Talk family. But, or I should share it now with you. I will. I will share that response with you now, my Straight Talk family. But his response, as usual, was pathetic. I'll repeat the question.
In your capacity as chairman of CARICOM, over the weekend just past, there was the Shield of the Americas meeting. There are 35 nations that make up the Americas. 3 of those nations who were invited to the meeting come from the Caribbean. Of those 3, 2 from CARICOM were invited. Those 3 Caribbean nations were Dominican Republic, Guyana, Trinidad, and Tobago, and we know who the 2 from CARICOM are. Is there any discussion, because we would have known about this meeting ahead of the CARICOM summit here in St. Kitts and Nevis, was there any discussion about those CARICOM partners sharing with the rest of the grouping what those discussions were over the weekend past at this Shield of the Americas, how it is going to impact us in the region, and whether or not they will be prepared not only to speak on behalf of their own countries, who I'm quite sure they were there to represent singularly, but if, since we have not been invited as members of the Americas to be a part of those discussions, whether they will speak on behalf of the rest of us who did not have a voice and were not given that opportunity.
Right, thank you very much. With respect to the SSZ,
my Straight Talk family, I'll get that, and forgive me for this, I'll get that video up and running for you. But his response raised a troubling question. Why was the Caribbean largely absent from such a consequential discussion about hemispheric security? Many analysts believe that the answer lies partly in the Caribbean's long-standing foreign policy doctrine, friends of all and satellites of none. And this approach served small states like ours well during the ideological tensions of the Cold War. But the world has changed, we must admit. In today's environment marked by cyber threats, transnational crime, geopolitical rivalry, and intelligence cooperation, neutrality is often interpreted not as wisdom, but as uncertainty. For partners engaged in deep security cooperation, trust and clarity are essential. And this is where the difficult question facing St. Kitts and Nevis begin to emerge. My Straight Talk family, this is where the difficult question begins to emerge. First, concerns have been raised regarding aspects of the online gambling sector that was launched over there by Mark Brantley, our Premier, a few weeks ago. And we all understand that they have already received quite a lot of applications. But issues relating to a post that was mounted on the Facebook of one Nuri Katz. You can see my Straight Dog family. And you can read it as well. It speaks to the coming together of Mark Brantley and others. And according to Nuri Katz, as you can glean from his Facebook post, he's president and CEO at Apex Capital Partners. And he writes, and I quote, "Amazing conference. So good listening and watching such an experienced politician as the Premier promote Nevis on the world stage as a center for innovation in the world, where tech, financial, and corporate services meet." And his colleague Sonia Selina, welcoming opportunities that Nevis has to offer together with Mark. And the Apex Capital Partners, you can glean from the bottom there, are also into second citizenship or citizenship by investment programs. But my straight talk family, Nuri Katz, the founder of Apex Capital Partners, we have found has been linked to public commentary. He has been linked to public commentary to financial services or financial networks connected to the kleptocratic structures of Russia. And yes, my straight dog family, we saw this release that was posted just a few days ago under the caption, "The Kremlin's Trojan Horse." And that's Apex Capital Partners, the Kremlin's Trojan Horse, my straight dog family. And a very interesting article. And I'll share excerpts of that article with you tonight. And these are the people who are dealing with the online banking, online gambling, beg your pardon, in Nevis, beg your pardon. And you can glean from the excerpt, my straight dog family, as it reads, "Introduction, hybrid threat disguised as immigration. In the context of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine, which since 2022 has escalated into an open military invasion and become the largest conflict in Europe since World War II, the Kremlin intensified its hybrid warfare against Western democracies." Fast check just to the bottom, my straight dog family, the last sentence at the bottom left, and it reads, "This investigation exposes the true face of ACP, an operator of shadow passports for the Russian world, and a key link in the party Goal 2.0 system." And look to your screen on your right, my straight dog family, and it speaks to the headquarters in the service of Lubyanka. And it provides a Moscow trail. But go down to the second sentence, my straight dog family, starting with Nuri Katz, there on your right. And let's read that together. And recall I said that Nuri Katz is managing the offshore online banking in Nevis. Read what he said about Mark Brantley. You see them there together in Spain. And how Mark meets these people, only heaven knows, my straight dog family. But getting back to this article. And it reads, let's start there at Nuri Katz. It's at the third sentence, beg your pardon, I said second. Take your time. Let's read it together. Nuri Katz, a Canadian citizen, skillfully leverages his status as resident ambassador of Dominica to the Russian Federation and advisor to the Prime Minister of Dominica. His meetings with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and the presentation of credentials personally to Vladimir Putin are not mere diplomatic protocol, but a demonstration of his role as a trusted figure in delicate geopolitical operations of the Kremlin. Katz actively promotes the interests of Russia and China in the Caribbean, effectively turning island states to offshore platforms for Russian special services and corrupt schemes. So the online platform fits right into this description of the operation. You understand, Nuri Katz? See him, they post him in our Premier, Mark Brantley. And hear this again. Read this again one more time, my Straight Talk family. Katz actively promotes the interests of Russia and China in the Caribbean region, effectively turning island states into offshore platforms for Russian special services and corrupt schemes. And my Straight Talk family, this online banking are not exposed to America or the USA. And Mark Brantley must tell us about that. They're not using US currency, so they're shutting out the US. But my Straight Talk family, this is what's happening in our beautiful Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Nuri Katz, very close to Vladimir Putin. You must know who is Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. And he says he met the Russian foreign minister. And it was not just diplomatic protocol, but a demonstration of Nuri Katz's role as a trusted figure in delicate geopolitical operations of the Kremlin. And this is really troubling, and I want this to sink in, my Straight Talk family in St. Kitts, and in particular over there in Nevis. This is what Mark Brantley is exposing us to. A Russian who is actively promoting the interests of Russia and China in the Caribbean region, effectively turning island states into offshore platforms for Russian special services and corrupt schemes. You understand that he lives in Antigua. He's a representative diplomat for Dominica, we just told you. Secondly, my Straight Talk family, international media reports have alleged that the current supreme leadership in Iran may have moved funds through offshore accounts in Nevis, my Straight Talk family. And this you can find in the Daily Mail, my Straight Talk family. Now, the Daily Mail has long been one of the highest circulated newspapers in Britain, known for news, politics, celebrity stories, and lifestyle coverage and commentary. It has the highest circulation. And my Straight Talk family, again, you can glean from your monitors how the money is apparently laundered from St. Kitts to Iran, from Iran to St. Kitts, my straight dog family. And this is what happens, and it goes to other offshore points. But we are concerned about the money laundering between Iran and Nevis, my straight dog family. These are issues we have to be concerned about. Also, my straight dog family, also, in addition to that information, it is also alleged by the Daily Mail. And look at the caption, and this is January 2026. Secret global property empire of Iranian Ayatollahs heir, including mansions on London's Billionaire Row and Beverly Hills of Dubai, as regime massacres impoverish protesters. Well, he is now, my straight dog family, Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the Ayatollah who was killed, is now the Islamic leader of the Republic of Iran. And this article speaks about the shell companies. And read that last paragraph on your right, and you can glean from the article as well. There is Mojtaba Khamenei's photo, or his picture, or his photograph, whichever you want to call it. And my straight dog family, the last paragraph reads, the shell companies and intermediaries have been established across a wide geographical spread, covering the UAE, the Isle of Man, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Europe. And that's not good news for us, my straight dog family. It cannot be good news. But I submit, these allegations exist and should not be simply dismissed. Responsible governance requires that any claims and all claims affecting the credibility of the nation's financial system must be investigated thoroughly and transparently. And my straight talk family, it's about time that investigation goes to the house of Premier Brantley. All these hanky-panky things going on, he should not be protected. He ought to be exposed, my straight dog family. But thirdly, the long-standing citizenship by investment program of St. Kitts and Nevis has attracted investors from around the world, including citizens from Russia, from Iran, and China, to name a few. And we asked ourselves, why no government considers it an obligation to tell the Federation, to tell the people of this country where our citizens, or economic citizens, I should say, come from. We don't want to know their names. We need to know how many economic citizens we have issued. What is their nationality? Like someone said to me, I should not call Olivier Johnson a Belgian. I should say he's from Nevis or St. Kitts and Nevis. Do you believe that, my straight dog family? But we need to know. That's for another time. We need to know, my straight dog family, how many economic citizens we have issued, or citizenships we have issued, where did they come from? How many from Russia? How many from China? How many from Iran? How many from Iraq? Where the hell they came from? We need to know this, especially in these times. We saw a bomb scare just a few days ago. Who knows? But while the program has generated vital revenue for development, it has also raised security concerns among international partners who require the highest standards of due diligence when sharing sensitive intelligence. And that's why we were not included in the Shield of America Summit. But we ask ourselves, with all these things happening, what is the level of due diligence applied even now as we speak? Fourthly, there are strategic questions regarding infrastructure partnerships involving China, including projects such as the construction of the prison facility. My straight talk family, in today's geopolitical environment, even infrastructure projects can become a part of broader strategic calculations, my straight talk family. At the same time, domestic discourse reflects these international tensions. I listened to the former government minister of tourism and the one-time national security and labor, Gada, we call him. And he said this, my straight talk family. Gada said this.
The people in Hamas are Shia, most of them in Hezbollah are Shia, just like the majority of people in Iran. So it's a natural togetherness. And it is no secret that Iran supports Hamas and Hezbollah.
Iran supports Hamas and Hezbollah. Gada is right. But while freedom of speech must always be respected, statements made by Gada and made by influential figures inevitably shape international perceptions during periods of heightened geopolitical tension. Someone asked me, for example, is Gada supporting Iran? Who is Gada supporting? But from his commentary, he surely cannot be supporting the USA, worse yet Israel. But my straight talk family, perhaps the most controversial issue currently confronting the Federation is unfolding in Nevis itself. The proposed Destiny project, promoted by developer Olivier Janssens, has sparked and continues to spark intense debate across the country. He has insulted every Nevisian from all walks of life by offering to pay US $100. We dealt with that before. But my straight talk family, the proposal from Olivier Janssens, we understand, seeks sweeping extensions from federal statutes governing the courts, the police, customs and excise, and though not exhaustive, social security systems. And such exemptions would create, no doubt, an unprecedented legal framework within the Federation. Even more alarming is the scale of the proposed investment program tied to the project. The issuance, for example, of approximately 10,000 investment units, 10,000 shares as they call them, could potentially translate into 40,000 new citizens if an average of 4 persons per family is assumed. For Little St. Kitts and Nevis, my straight dog family, such a demographic shift would have profound social, economic, and political consequences. Many observers have described this possibility as nothing less than demographic suicide. The controversy deepened when a cabinet member in Nevis publicly acknowledged that he was unaware of the original persons who might become citizens under the project framework. He said this, my straight dog family.
As well, which is, I believe, some misinformation. You say that most of the persons who will be living in his zone will be wealthy Americans. We don't know we don't know whether they will be Americans, Europeans, or where they're going to be coming from, because we are not the ones who will be promoting the development, and we are not the one who's going to be selling the units that are there. So we cannot come and say that most of them will be Americans. We are not sure.
Not sure at all, my straight dog family. Very interesting. But remember, the developer Johnson's promoted the vision of transforming Nevis into the Dubai Monaco of the Caribbean. Yes, he did, my straight dog family. Don't ever doubt straight up.
My name is Olivier Janssens, and I'm the founder of Destiny. I have been proud to call myself a Nevisian for almost a decade now. And in that time, I have come to see both the challenges and the immense opportunities of our island. Around the world, special economic zones have transformed entire nations. Dubai is perhaps the clearest example. What was once a small trading port is now a global hub of wealth, innovation, and opportunity. Europe has Monaco, and the Middle East has Dubai. But the Americas still lack their own equivalent. I believe Nevis can seize that role. The first country in the Caribbean to create a modern zone of this kind will not only uplift its people, but could become one of the wealthiest and most desirable regions in the world. When I looked at Nevis, I saw a place ready for transformation. The southern corridor of the island is today completely undeveloped and sadly in decline. Erosion eats away more land each year. Yet this very area, if properly managed, holds the potential to become the engine of Nevis's future.
And my straight dog family, we must understand that grand visions should always be matched by rigorous governance, transparent oversight, and a national consensus. Additional concerns have arisen, and we must remember that, regarding the reported involvement of the Premier's wife as an intermediary between landowners and the developer. And this is what he told us about his wife, Oma Brantley.
Is working with my wife. So she's acting as a go-between between her client, who's the developer, and landowners, and asking if they're minded to sell their land.
Do you recall that, my straight talk family? I'm sure you did. But this arrangement only came, my straight talk family, this arrangement only came to the fore. It has fueled my straight talk family intense public debate about potential conflicts of interest and the need for strict ethical safeguards. But recall, it was exposed, my Straight Talk family, it was exposed by one reporter who raised this matter at the press conference.
We've been hearing a lot about 17 degrees north. What is the connection between 17 degrees north and the Nevis Island? Administration. Is it true that representative of 17 degrees north has been approaching landowners and residents in the area of Long Point to Butlers, trying to negotiate the sale of lands there? If yes, what is the reason?
17 degrees north. I have to smile because 17 degrees north is my wife's business. It's owned by Sharon M. Brantley. It is my wife's business and she's entitled.
My Straight Dog family, we're providing you with the first exposure of that discussion with Brantley.
To have a business just as you are and just as anybody else in this island is entitled to have a business. As I understand it, 17 degrees north is into real estate, buying and selling of real estate. I'm aware that there are investors who are looking at significant investments on the island. I'm aware that various investors are looking at investing on the island of Nevis. 17 degrees north has zero connection to the government. 17 degrees north is not involved with any government land. If I offer myself for elective office, I must say to my wife, who's had a business prior to me getting involved in politics, I'm sorry, darling, but you have to shut it down.
My Straight Talk family, amid this debate, an important voice has emerged from civil society. And I dare say, a very important voice, that is, from one Glendale Herbert, a co-founder of the Nevis Civil Society. And his group, the Nevis Civil Society, this group must be praised, my Straight Dog family. This group must be praised for insisting transparency, for insisting accountability and good governance in relation to the Destiny Project. The advocacy reminds us that democracy does not reside only in parliaments, but democracy lives in the vigilance of citizens and organizations. And I need to repeat that, my Straight Dog family. The advocacy of the Nevis Civil Society reminds us that democracy does not reside only in parliaments. It lives in the vigilance of citizens and organizations like the Nevis Civil Society. And this is one of his early letters written to the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley. And you can glean from the last paragraph on your left there that they have requested any draft or proposed development agreement, term sheets, MOUs or side letters, including all annexes, schedules, maps, boundary descriptions, and proposed zone governance, zone laws or zone bylaws text. And it goes on, my Straight Dog family. But to date, we understand that the Premier has failed to deliver that request in accordance with the mandate there in the Freedom of Information Ordinance there in Nevis. But recognizing, my Straight Dog family, recognizing the gravity of the issue though, Terence Michael Drew, the Prime Minister, we understand, in fact, according to him, he has referred this proposal to an ad hoc committee for review, my Straight Dog family.
The other matter we'll talk to is about the SSZ, the Sustainability Zone. I want to say that 2 meetings already have been had with the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
The ad hoc committee, of course, is an extensive committee that I think is about 15, but if I mention some of them, we have the St. Kitts Christian Council, the Evangelical Association, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Trades and Labor Union, Bankers and Financial Services, Caribbean Confederation of Credit Union, Eastern Caribbean. Well, these are going to report. They're going to be a part of the committee in terms of giving us their feedback. We have Organization of Rastafari Unity, where it was extended, the St. Kitts Nevis Medical and Dental Association. We also have the Bar Association. That is a fundamental part of it. We have the St. Christopher Trust, that is actually a part of this as well. And so we have all these organizations that are coming together to advise. So they have already looked at the SSZ law.
So my Straight Dog family, this decision, however, has reportedly created tension, has reported tension with the Premier of Nevis, who has argued, my Straight Dog family. The Premier has argued that it is a Nevis issue or a Nevis project, to be correct. But if that is so, then ask yourselves the question, why did it have to go to the federal parliament where he himself, Mark Brantley, as the leader of the opposition, seconded the motion? And I answer you, it's because he wanted exemption from some federal statutes, the courts, the police force, the customs and excise, social security, and the list goes on. But Brantley advanced what I call a schoolboy argument, my Straight Dog family, when he learned or was in fact indirectly responding to the Prime Minister, who said he'll go back to Parliament.
SSZ has nothing to do with Destiny. Destiny is a project that is being proposed that has not reached the committee as yet, that is being proposed. SSZ is a law that says any major project to be proposed in St. Kitts and Nevis must come through a process and must go to Parliament. I'm just simply saying that when it comes to these major massive projects, that there should be an opportunity for our people to have full view of what is happening. And this is exactly what the SSZ is doing. So I want to thank those who came to the SSZ, to the meeting to discuss the act itself. They are proposing, along with us, how ways in which we can strengthen it. And I will go back to Parliament as much as I have to strengthen the law.
And Brantley don't like this going back to Parliament. My Straight Talk family. And he challenged a caller. He challenged a caller, my Straight Talk family, on his program.
Caller, you're talking about changing the law. You cannot change the law on people who have already submitted something to you under the existing law and then tell them, well, this doesn't qualify under the new law. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You make noise, but you're not listening to me. How you going to change the law on a man and then tell the man that what you submitted last week was under the old law, and so I can't deal with that? You have to assess people's applications based on the law as it is at the time when you have the application in front of you.
Okay, but look, he got the application down there in front of him.
Yes.
Look now that he farm on committee to look out.
So what does the committee have to do with changing the law?
And at the committee now, I got to tell he what for do.
Yeah, but caller, that is different. You see, you're jumping all over the place.
No,
I'm trying to tell you,
yeah.
the point that I'm trying to address is the point that you're making about changing the law in Parliament. If you change the law in Parliament, the law must be changed to look forward, not backward.
My Straight Talk family, you know, Mark Brantley is so bright. Remember he told us that he was #1 in law school? Yes, he told us this. My Straight Talk family, Mark Brantley is really not brighter than a 20-watt bulb. Else he would have seen and or understood that the government is not bound if the proposal is not signed. And these are basic principles of contract and administrative law. Signature is evidence of acceptance. And a signature generally serves as a formal proof that a party has accepted the terms of a proposal or agreement. So if a government proposal or contract is not signed by the authorized official, in this case the Prime Minister, it will only indicate that the government has not formally accepted or approved the terms. And my Straight Talk family, the ignorance of Mark Brantley, the bright bulb, 20 watts in power, has created a resulting strain between federal and island authorities, reflecting deeper questions about governance, jurisdiction, and the national interests. Taken together, my Straight Talk family, offshore financial allegations, CBI concerns, strategic infrastructure partnerships, and the controversy surrounding the Destiny Project. These issues may collectively shape how international partners assess the reliability of St. Kitts and Nevis in matters of security and intelligence cooperation. I submit. In a world where trust determines alliances, perception can be as powerful as reality. And my Straight Talk family, this is truly an hour of decision for the Caribbean, and especially for St. Kitts and Nevis. The Western Hemisphere is entering a new era of security cooperation. Alliances are tightening. Intelligence sharing is becoming more selective. Nations are increasingly judged by the transparency transparency of their institutions and the integrity of their governance. Our country must therefore confront several truths. We must defend our sovereignty, but sovereignty must be exercised responsibly. We must welcome investment, but investment must never compromise national security or demographic stability. We must maintain diplomatic independence, but independence cannot mean strategic ambiguity in a dangerous world. Above all, we must ensure that our institutions, our courts, our financial system, our citizenship programs, and our development policies command the confidence of our own citizens and of our international partners. Projects like the Destiny proposal must be examined with the utmost care. Allegations involving offshore financial activity must be investigated. Governance must be transparent, ethical, and accountable, because the future of a small nation is too precious to be gambled on secrecy, haste, or political division. If we act wisely, St. Kitts and Nevis can remain a respected sovereign member of the international community, trusted by its allies and proud before its own people. But if we ignore the warning signs, we risk being left outside the councils where the future of our hemisphere is being shaped. The moment demands clarity. The moment demands courage. The Caribbean sits at one of the most strategically important crossroads in the Western Hemisphere. Our waters are not only home to our people and our livelihoods, they are also transit corridors for narcotics, illegal firearms, and transnational criminal networks that threaten the stability of our societies. The trafficking of drugs and guns is not merely a policing issue. It is a national security crisis. It fuels gang violence, undermines our institutions, and steals the futures of our young people. The Caribbean must not become the weak link. The Caribbean occupies one of the most important maritime crossroads in the world. Our sea lanes connect North America, South America, Europe, and Africa. Energy flows through our waters. Commerce passes through our ports. Global trade routes run through our islands. If these routes are infiltrated by criminal networks, if our financial systems are abused by illicit actors, if our territories become operational spaces for hostile organizations, then our region risks becoming the weak link in the security architecture of the Americas. That is a risk we can't afford. The hour of decision has arrived. An hour of decision for the United States and the Caribbean. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I tarried a little long because it's an important discussion, and I wanted to ensure that the points were made. But I'll open the lines, my Straight Dog family, and entertain your calls and your emails. And when I do so, momentarily, I anticipate that we will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, we must first respect ourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. And my Straight Dog family, in the process, let's ensure that the things we say and or do will not only be beneficial to all concerned, but let us try to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. It's 17 past the 9 o'clock hour. And we go straight to the lines and say goodnight to our first caller. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Liebert.
Yes, good night, Madam Quotationist. I got you. Yes.
Let's not confuse hasty decisions.
Yep.
With strength or intelligence.
Strength or intelligence.
It's important to be decisive after giving consideration that reflects the time you have and what's at stake.
Time you have and what's at stake.
I repeat, let's not confuse hasty decisions with strength or intelligence. It's important to be decisive after giving consideration that reflects the time you have and what's at stake. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening as well. My Straight Talk family always provides us with, as I call it as usual, our thought-provoking quotations of tonight, and this one is no exception. Let's not confuse hasty decisions with strength or intelligence. It's important to be decisive after giving consideration that reflects the time you have and what's at stake. Thank you very much. Coming from across the Narrows there in Nevis, and we go to the overseas line and say goodnight to this caller. I thank you for holding, caller. You're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight Talk.
Mr. Straight Talk. Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. How are you, my brother?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Lord, Mr. Straight Talk, you was hot tonight. I'm not going to stay long with you. I just call you to say you're doing a wonderful job. Just do what you got to do. You know one thing about dog and mongoose? We had some dog and we only have to say, mang. His dog know what he going for. Understand? You only have to say mang. And that dog done ready. Understand? Well, this is what we are doing with especially your program, that you really got our Papa Grand Prix and he run. Understand? And all the Nevis people have to do is to keep up the fight. Keep it up. You guys are doing good. Because I understand about the Kitchen Hill. I was telling my brother to take me up there. He said, you can't go up there like that. No, I said, what are you saying? So my suggestion to you, so if these people build that project, they're going to have their own hospital, they're going to have their own everything, their own. What are we doing? That I wouldn't like to see happen. But hey, you know, like I tell you, dog and mongoose are chasing. Dog are chasing. You know, Sparrow sing a song like that?
No, I don't remember that. You beat me that.
Fly mongoose.
Oh, fly
dog
mongoose.
know you hold.
Yes, I know that.
You remember now?
Yes, I remember that.
Well, that's what happened. Fly mongoose. He have to run for his life because they begin to learn his role. Mr. Strater, like I said, you went long, and I thank you so much for your job that you are doing. Just continue to do what you have to do because the people are listening. And even the comments about the one, listen, Mr. Strater, let me get off the phone because I know people want to call you. See you when I see you. Be good. Abracadabra. Thank you so much.
Abracadabra, my brother. And yes, my Straight Talk family, I again want to make this point, and I want us to really get more serious about what, especially those in Nevis, it affects St. Kitts. Because you'll note that whenever you see the Daily Mail or the Financial Times articles, for example, it says St. Kitts and Nevis. And yes, we are one federation. But Mark Brantley introduced online gambling. And the man behind the online gambling is someone called Nuri Katz. And on your screens, you will see the post from Nuri Katz, this president and CEO of Apex Capital. But I'll go. Let's go back to the lines, and I'll come right back to that. Caller, yes, caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes.
Hello,
Mr. Patrick, good night.
Mr. Bibleman. How art thou?
I'm fine and wonderful.
See, you're using technology, man. That's good.
Yeah, using technology, but I don't want to really I'm trying to see when mountain come that I could buy
but use the time wisely. Make your points, sir. Give me the Bible verses, yeah. So the lines are going.
Yeah, I will do that because I don't want to tie up the line.
Thank you.
But blessed is the man that considereth the poor.
That's your favorite.
In the time, Psalm 41.
That's your favorite,
In
yes.
the time of trouble,
He will.
the Lord shall deliver him.
Yes.
Now the next one. Fret not yourself
Because of evildoers.
because of evildoers.
Yes.
Neither we envious against the workers of iniquity.
Yes.
Now the another one. Psalm 34. I will bless the Lord all times. His praise shall continue in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear it and be glad. Psalm 107. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord for his good, for his mercy endured forever. He said, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Who the Lord shall do it. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide on the shadow of thy mighty. I will say to the Lord,
Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Yes, caller. Don't know what's happened to you, but you seem to have dropped out. But let's go back to the line and thank this
good
caller.
night, that is good night.
Yes, good night. Sounds like Mr. Politics. How art thou, sir?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. I'm here listening to the program as usual. First, I always want to thank God for life. And thank God for this blessed country of us. And if we ain't keep focused, we will lose it. We will lose our country if we ain't keep focused. And I always tell the people, must listen to straight talk. Because that is all some of the information you get come tonight with. Especially with the offshore banking and thing in Nevis and so. I don't hear them on no other radio station. I hear them straight talk. And it got to be some kind of truth because nobody come in and challenge you about it. Right? So you tell lawyer whatever. I take it to court. No, Patches. That's why I tell people they got to be aware of what's going on in this country. And I tell them listen to straight talk. Because straight talk is the program does bring the issues what going on and the hurting issues in government or whatever going on in the world. You understand? So I always tell people listen to straight talk.
Thankful, sir.
Because they will get it right. You can't play political blind all the time and party affiliate all the time. And see your country and the administration, you see your country going. The people who elect to run the country, they're doing as they like. That's why you got so much dictators in different parts of the world ruling different countries. Because people them allow the hardliner to these politicians and hardliner to the party, and everything the party do when they get in government, they believe. We don't want that here. We live in a democratic country. And whether you CCM, PAM, NRP, Labour, PLP, we got to listen. And when we see these things coming against us, we got to speak out. Patches, we got to speak out. We cannot let deaf, blind, and mumu. You understand? And Patches, I want to see our country go forward and a different administration, because let me tell you something, no Patches. Me and a party with nobody, you know. I about my country right now, you know. I am about seeing a government going there. Look at the economy. Up to today, I was listening to the next program there with Peter Agent. I called him twice. And Freedom FM. And Peter Agent was so right. I asked him a question about the farmers, the small business of farmers, if small business of farmers was doing well in this country, if we economy was in a better shape. And asked about the tourism sector, the revenue bringing to the country, and he answered me good. And I want to thank Peter Agent to educate me today about what's going on, especially with our the CBI program and the, what do you call it again? The IMF. Anyway, Patrick, if I get back, I got something else to say.
Thank you very much. Always welcome your contribution. Good night, Straight Talk. As of the email below, has any investigation been done? Also, as a support of the Rastafarian community, the question has been asked a few times. Why is it that for the past 8 years, Greer, a famous and outstanding politician, has made millions from the processing and selling of cannabis, and he doesn't have a license? And Straight Talk cannot confirm that. But Crucial Banky and other citizens are constantly being arrested for cultivation of cannabis. What special privilege has been given to this politician? He should be charged. If not, the Rasta man or the Rasta movement should take a stand. This is unfair, and Greer is subjected to the same law as any citizen. Straight Talk, all is equal under the eyes of the law. We demand an answer for why he is not being prosecuted. And we cannot verify what is said here, and that's the views of the emailer. But we will investigate the matter. And one of the things that came to mind, because I listened to the premiere just a few days ago, and is we seem to be mixing up this issue with this cannabis and what was the thinking behind the administration, the Team Unity administration, when the committee made the recommendation to cabinet, and it dealt with medicinal marijuana, but something seemed to have gone awry, but we'll deal with that at some other time, my Straight Talk family. But this other email reads, Dear Patches, you will not believe the masterclass in operation or operational genius that unfolded at the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw International Airport on Saturday. An unattended bag sets off a security alert. Passengers are evacuated, and instead of herding everyone into a safe, controlled terminal area like every airport protocol ever written demands, our visionary Casper masterminds decided the perfect spot is the wide open tarmac. Yes, the tarmac, right next to the fuel planes, baggage carts, ground vehicles, and every other thing that screams danger and high risk. Freshly evacuated people unscreened, wandering freely down a so-called threat. Absolute brilliance. Who needs secure perimeters, monitoring, or even the finest respect for ICAO standards when you can throw an impromptu open-air mixer for passengers airside? And of course, Casper's airport manager Don Grant and Marsha have gone full mute mode because nothing reassures the public like radio silence after turning a minor scare into a spectacular display of self-inflicted chaos. Former supervisors can yap all they want about how staff were properly trained, but what we witnessed on Saturday was pure island ingenuity at its finest. Skip the control response, embrace confusion, delay flights, and let everyone ponder whether the so-called fix just created the actual breach. This is the kind of brilliant incompetence that deserves airtime on Straight Talk. The people need to know exactly how our international airport masters the art of turning a tiny incident into maximum exposure and risk. Keep shining the light on this nonsense. It is nothing short of awe-inspiring in its audacity. Read this email. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Leiber.
Good evening, sir.
And good evening to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here.
Carl Brown, are you still on the planet? I haven't seen you for a long time. I haven't heard you either. Are you okay?
That is true. Oh, yes, I'm perfectly fine. You know, all my tasks are working well and I'm in good fine health.
Okay, good to hear, man. Good to hear you.
I'm just busy trying to enhance and re-energize and enlighten my business.
So you got the business off and running?
Yes, I've been taking my time.
Okay. You got all your licenses eventually?
Eventually.
That's good. I congratulate you, man.
After serving the country for 27 years and months, and now try to, let's say, do something else different after retirement.
Sorry to interrupt you. You have something making some noise in the background there.
Oh, he's one of the chillers.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Mr. Leibert. And the thing is this, when locals here in St. Kitts, if you realize in the last 3 years, has been shoved under the rug for foreigners. Anybody look around, look at all that has been happening. Local has been squeezed out while foreigners have been pushed forward. Look at the vendors on the beach over there by Carambolo. They have been shoved aside for foreigners. And look at what they are telling the vendors. Oh, you all have to move because the land belongs to someone. I mean, come on. In St. Lucia, that same hotel that they are proposing to build over there, meet vendors on the beach in St. Lucia. And they had meetings after meetings, discussions after discussions. And you know what they did? They involved them in the whole equation and made those vendors a part of the hotel.
Yes.
They didn't make them go off the beach, or they didn't get lawyers or get the government to force them off. Only in St. Christopher, Lord Cut should get an award for that song. Now look at it again. Me applied so long, and other people, foreigners, apply behind me and get you in front of me, and then they come telling me, I am in what? Some kind of word they use. I forget the word right now and all.
I am in, so they want to say it's a living neighborhood, so they in entertaining business, but then Guyanese got business license, Spanish got business license, Chinese got business license, and then telling me a local who served the country, my business ideas are too big. Now, if a white man they come in with those same ideas, he would have gotten money out of the National Bank, he would have gotten money out of the SIDF to buy the land, and he'd have got money to buy his materials, and he would have gotten duty-free everything, and still a lot of other special deals. But your own native, born and bred, want to do something after retirement and was, trampled upon like, well, I did the country something, or I did the departments them something. I had to call in all kind of media. I had to go on all kind of radio station. Come on, that is so embarrassing and so insulting. And the thing is, Mr. Libert, I am saying to them all that I am going to create a bit of employment. Just give me a chance to enhance my ideas. And I was shoved aside. I was pulled in meeting. Every time I go somewhere, they pull me in a meeting and tell me my ideas is too big. Could you imagine that, Mr. Libert? And all I'm saying to them all the time, I want to open a deli and bar. Later down, I will open a drinks depot. Later down, I will open a public market. People pull me in meetings and tell me my ideas are too big.
Too big. Well, I'm happy you succeed.
And native of the soil.
Yep.
Mr. Libert, the other thing, look at it again. The school. Now, could you imagine, Mr. Libert, when Unity had the proposal about the school, Unity had all kind of town hall meetings. Unity brought in specialists from overseas, specialists locally, and there was town hall meetings, there was discussion, there was radio discussion, there was talk shows, you name it. And Labour protested bitterly, strongly against building the high school, and as they were saying, up on the aquifer, right? And they claim, now look at it, the Minister of Education now, his words and continue to be millions of dollars being spent and not a block laid. But what is happening now, Mr. Libert? Millions of dollars being spent, not a block laid. And here is it now, Mr. Libert, is that what they are telling us, we are going to provide hundreds of jobs. But look at it, Mr. Libert. Now this school is coming in prefab. Prefab the school is coming in. We are not going to build the school from our own local block, our own local concrete, our own local expertise. The school is going to come in already done built. So crane just lift up, aside, bring it down, they either bolt it or weld it in place. And come on. So who is going to make the money? Barbados is going to make millions of dollars. China is going to make millions of dollars. And local is going to get the return.
Yes, my
like everything under this government local is being shoved out for foreigners. Up to now, we don't know. Mr. Libert, could you tell us who is the project manager for the Bastia High School? Who is the engineer?
That's a rhetorical question. I'll treat it as. Right?
Okay, and then another thing, we have signboards that's supposed to be by every gate of the old Bastia High School showing you the starting time, the finishing time, the engineer and the contractor who won the bid. Where's those boards?
Okay. Well, we're gonna deal with that issue, that topic, in a full.
Yeah, I got
full thesis. But thanks a lot for your input, and glad to know that your business has been sorted out. Carl Brown, and yes, you're right. You call it the Bastille High School. I call it the Barbados High School. So I'm not making fun of the contractors, but I believe you should all get your passports and show up at the RLB and tell them you want to get to Barbados. Terence Michael Drew and the slow student, Jeffrey Hanley, would pay your passage so you can get a job down there in Barbados, where the Barbados High School is being manufactured by Pre-Conco. That's the name of the company that it's apparently, I stand to be corrected, I will have to reconfirm, apparently owned by one Mark Maloney. We will tell you, we're trying to get all indication on this Mr. Mark Maloney, but it's an interesting individual, I can tell you. Dear Patches, reads this email. Did you catch the release today about fuel prices in Antigua and Barbuda? It reads like a leadership masterclass as oil prices rocket past $100 a barrel. Prime Minister Ghazi Dredd move immediately. Gasoline is frozen at $14.50, diesel at EC $14.25, and special consumption taxes was slashed to protect families and businesses. Ordinary citizens can actually feel relief in their pockets. Daily expenses, grocery bills, bus fares, and delivery costs are stabilized. This is leadership that acts while the storm rages. Now turn to St. Kitts and Nevis. Prices climb, wallets burn, and Prime Minister Terence Drew is nowhere to be seen. No tax relief, no subsidies, no emergency plans, no price controls. Families are forced to juggle fuel, food, and medicine while Drew lectures about long-term renewable energy projects as if speeches fill gas tanks. He jets abroad, posing for photos while citizens sweat at the pump. His campaign promise to make cost of living a priority is buried under excuses and platitudes. Ghazi Dredd protects his people. Drew leaves them to suffer. Kittitians and individuals are paying the price while their Prime Minister prioritizes optics over survival, reads this email. At 15 before the 10 o'clock hour, this other email reads, believe you me, something about what Mark Brantley is doing scares me. I think he is putting Nevis in problems. It seems as though he goes out looking for problems to bring to Nevis as investors, and the people of Nevis should be scared, as it seems as though Russia will soon be part of Nevis also. Patches, where are we heading? Donald Trump is bringing problems for the world, but Mark is bringing problems, trouble, and headaches for the island of Nevis. I think we're going to hold our belly and ball. Patches, you have any suggestion what we should do to stop Mark in his educated tracks? Yes, just vote him out. Save our souls, reads this email. When you get the next opportunity, just kick him out of power. Remember, which was this man? Johnny Williams was like, kick him out, kick them out. You remember Johnny Williams? I'm sure you remember Johnny Williams. He used to kick them out, as he would call it. My Straight Talk family, it's 9:46. We raised an issue earlier, and many of you may have joined me belatedly. But we looked at, or we are looking at our thesis for tonight, which I titled An Hour of Decision, the United States and the Caribbean. Many are still speaking about the exclusion of the chairman of CARICOM and our prime minister from this joint security security, this joint security, what is called, declaration, which Hegseth spoke about or signed the document. In fact, Hegseth signed that document, I think it was March 7th in Doral, Florida. Yes, I believe it was March 7th in Doral, Florida. Hegseth has signed the documentation as it relates to the joint security declaration. And there was some 17 countries, I believe it was, that were present at this meeting and signed the document, the declaration. Some 17 countries, including countries from St. Kitts and Nevis. Not St. Kitts and Nevis, take that back. Countries from the Caribbean, including Bahamas, the Belize. We had, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and many other countries that signed this. Guatemala, Republic of Guyana, I said that before, Jamaica, Panama, Peru, Honduras, Paraguay, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Bolivia, Belize, and the Dominican Republic. And they signed that document, my Straight Dog family, as it relates to the Joint Security Declaration. And Pete Hegseth is trying to find the photo of that particular meeting. And I think, yes, that meeting was held on, my memory serves me well, on March the 7th. And these are the countries, or some of the countries that were represented. And in fact, those countries, my Straight Dog family, signed off on the declaration relating to security within the Western Hemisphere. And Hegseth did make the point that the President Trump would use lethal force if necessary to ensure that the hemisphere is secure. And if that is the view, he intended to use that force, my Straight Dog family. But as we can glean from your monitors, we had this joint security conference in just before the Shield of the Americas summit over there in Florida. But my Straight Dog family, we look tonight at the concerns that were raised. The partners who were engaged in deep security cooperation. And some difficult questions facing St. Kitts and Nevis emerge. And the first concern that was raised deals with Nevis and its online gambling. And this is very serious, and I want us to pay close attention to this. I have posted on your screens, my Stray Dog family, coming from Nuri Katz is the name, the president and CEO of Apex Capital Projects, ACP. And he writes, and we read, and I quote, "So good to spend time in Barcelona at ICE with Honorable Mark Brantley." That's at the conference he attended, Mark Brantley. But how he gets in contact with these people is a question that we ought to ask ourselves. Because Straight Talk got this article about Apex Capital Partners, referred to as the Kremlin's Trojan horse in the West. That's the article. The Kremlin's Trojan horse in the West. And the excerpt from the article reads, my Straight Dog family, is that the Kremlin is intensifying its hybrid warfare against Western democracies. And the very last paragraph on your left reads, and you can read with me, my Straight Dog family, this investigation of Apex Capital Partners and its founder, Nuri Katz, exposes the true face of ACP as an operator of shadow passports for the Russian world and a key link in the Party Goal 2.0 system. And that's troubling my Straight Dog family. Nuri Katz, as I said to you, not said to you, I showed you, is posting there in Barcelona, Spain, with our premier. But get back to the article, my Straight Dog family. Let's read the article on the page on your right, from the top. Let's read together. Headquarters in the service of Lubyanka, the Moscow Trail, the Moscow office of ACP, located at Leon Tevisky Lane, 25, Office 505, in close proximity to key government buildings and headquarters of special or Russian special services. Is no random choice. It reads, this is not just a business address, but an operational hub from which activities to lobby Kremlin interests and bypass international sanctions are coordinated. The article continues. Nuri Katz, and remember I showed you Nuri Katz. That's Nuri Katz there on your left, posing with Mark Brantley. But yet back to the article, my Straight Dog family. Nuri Katz, a Canadian citizen, skillfully leverages his status as resident ambassador of Dominica to the Russian Federation, an advisor to the Prime Minister of Dominica. His meetings with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and the presentation of credentials personally. The presentation of credentials personally, my Straight Talk family, to Vladimir Putin are not mere diplomatic protocol, but a demonstration of his role as a trusted figure in delicate geopolitical operations of the Kremlin. Katz, it continues, my Straight Talk family. Katz, it continues, actively promotes the interests of Russia and China in the Caribbean region, effectively turning island states into offshore platforms for Russian special services and corrupt schemes, my Straight Talk family. Read that email. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, good night, Brother Patches. How are you doing?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
I am humble and peaceful too, but I am not at ease
You should.
the sense that I will jump over across the narrows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the entertainment that the Premier is doing. He attracting too much confusion in the Federation. This is not just a Nevis situation. This is a St. Kitts and Nevis situation, a federation. Now, here is it. Donald Trump is enforcing the... Shit, it's just gone up my mind. Sorry to use that language. Help me. The regional, the Western regional graph that help me, Pachi.
Western Hemisphere national security infrastructure, if that's what you want to talk about.
Yeah. And here is it. We are attracting and entertaining Russians with their gambling. That's penetration using our passport. We are attracting Middle Eastern Iranians that the big man in the West does not like. It's going to be confusion. The Caribbean going to be in issues with America. All these hardship America is putting on the Caribbean islands is because of the way they are being proactive to attract and allowing human approach. These money business and nothing is trickling down to sustain the people because the people are still in bad shape. So this to me is like a personal issue with these people trying to line their pocket with as much money as they can. And they cannot sell out the Federation for their own personal gain. And I will reiterate, what is the benefit of the common man in the Federation? Nothing. The suppression of the America will burden the people more and more going down. If they don't want the big stick start wailing and whiling all over the place, I hope the people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis get rid of these people. Put into power because it is problematic. So we'll leave it there right now.
Thank you.
And let me hear other commentary. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. And first, we raised the concerns regarding the aspects of the online gambling sector associated with Apex Capital Partners, whose founder Nuri Katz has been linked to, in public commentary, financial networks connected to the kleptocratic structures of Russia. That's who Mark Brantley has brought to manage or market his online gaming. My Straight Talk family, caller, you live. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Let's take this other caller. Caller, you're live. Hello,
Yeah,
caller.
Patrick, good night again. Me again, Patrick.
Yeah, yes, my.
Yeah, I want to speak to my brother Carl Brown. Brother Carl Brown, I believe if it was from a different country, you no longer do your business long time. Because what I see here right now, going on in this country, the people from different countries were coming in, getting things easier, and we who live in here, we who don't work in the sugar industry, we don't do all kind of thing here. I ain't saying that Guyanese and other people ain't come in and work in our sugar industry. But people coming in, getting land, easy, getting the passport right, easy, because you know what? Election is coming up. And I believe this administration, they will do everything to win back this government and end the performance to people of this country. We got to be real. Look at our land. Look at our farming land. That is, if you come down to West Warm Mountain, take a walk up West Warm Mountain, going to Alois Buckley's. We better give out under his administration for the farmers and to the cattle water in the mountain. House rich up there. And most of these people who got these land is people from different countries. I want to know if any Kittian could go in any country and get any Kittian and Nevisan could go in any country and get land so easy. I want to know. And this thing is really, really hurtful. Because Patrick, if you walk the road or drive the road across Best Boy, come up to Camps and Buckley's, you see the cattle parade in the road every day and night. Patrick, you know why? Because all the land in the mountain give people building. People building in the mountain. Who don't got 3 pieces of land, got 4 pieces of land. I do whatever they're going to do with them. And this is where the country suffered from since 1995 when the Douglas administration get in. He didn't do nothing about farming. He closed the sugar industry and had no idea about no farming and nothing. And we get, it's like backfiring on us. You see that all eight will ever get, when they was in under the administration of Douglas, it backfired and things right now. Especially the people in Boys, Buckley's and Camps with the land. Backfiring on us.
Okay.
It's so hurtful.
Okay, my brother.
Before, just imagine, right? I get a house under the farm administration. And because I pass me also because of cattle. I have cattle. When I butcher a cow, I carry more money in the bank than I was supposed to pay. And that's why I pass me out so quick.
Okay.
You understand?
Got you, my brother.
Okay, then, Patrick.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I want to thank this caller for holding caller. We're running out of time. And I'm going to guide you by the rules of brevity.
Good evening, man. How you doing today?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I make some personal observations, but the time is running down. But quickly, the propaganda machine on the ground in St. Kitts and Nevis approaching the next elections is in operation already, especially from the Labour government.
Yep.
I made some personal observations. Coming out of that C50 meeting, I seen an ad with the Labour government now pushing an ad saying that they achieved certain things coming out of that C50 meeting. And me personally feel that that's a bunch of baloney. Secondly, is some reports going around that we got a partial, we got a visa-free access back to Canada. But I read that it's not really a full access; it's partial, and that the EL, what do they call that? That ETA thing that they got in place that you got to sign up through. That this stuff needs to be clarified to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, because we need not be fooled We don't have total access back, free access back to Canada at all. The Prime Minister needs to come forward and explain these things to the people and don't let the people be fooled. Don't try to deceive the people. A woman can't be partially pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And the visa-free status or the visa-free access, he made a trip to Ghana recently, and there's other reports out there saying that the Prime Minister forged relationships with Ghana to have visa-free access to Ghana. That's another lie. I can attest to that. We have diplomatic relationships with Ghana years ago and visa-free access to Ghana years ago. And that marijuana laws that they passed recently needs to be clarified to the citizens. We see persons are getting arrested, especially in Nevis, and they're getting arrested unjustly, and their rights is being violated. And Patches, I'll probably leave it there for now and let you do your thing, man. Have a good night.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. Thanks for your contribution. Caller, I'm out of time, so I'm going to guide you by the rules. I can only give you 20 seconds. Can you use it?
Good evening. Why are you going to give me 26 minutes?
Because I'm out of time.
Good evening. How are you?
I am much better when now I heard you. What about you?
I'm here giving God thanks. Welcome back. These couple of days I didn't get in. Mr. Libert, let me ask you a question. We have a prime minister. We have a leader of this country.
He did say he works from abroad. He told us that before, Let's not forget.
We don't have a prime minister, because if we had a prime minister, lots of people out there crying and he ain't listening to the cry. He's not listening to the cry. All what he doing, he's saying for himself and his family. All of him and he Kabalem, all of them don't build a house. He went over St. Vincent that when he lose power and he come out of power, he goes south. You see, cross the ocean, he go with his family, and he don't care 1K.
We seem to have lost you. Are you there, caller? Okay, we seem to have lost that call. But as we wind down tonight's program in my Straight Dog family, perhaps I'll take 2 more calls if this caller can be guided by the rules of brevity. Are you there, caller?
Fraternal love and greetings.
Greetings, my brother.
Blessed night to your brother Patches, and blessed night to your listeners of YouTube and Facebook, as you call Facebook. How you there was and how you doing in the love of the Almighty and the ancestors?
Peaceful, man. Peaceful. Thank God. What about yourself?
Joyful, man. I smoke ganja and some bike stuff,
Okay.
And I get police or army man show anything right now. Me know what to deal with. But we come here to deal with the aspect from your last communicate with the caller just now. Education is vital for all people to understand the issue what we're facing amongst us, as not just in Singles and Nevis, but us as a people in the region towards herb in particularly. Now, we see that there's a treaty that was signed since 1961 and 1971, and then we as a community of, as we call global community, have signed on since we have adopted the independent status towards this narcotic drug agency, which is a hindrance to us as a people when it comes to the natural plant, what you call herb or cannabis. And to this year, may not say long, and just this year to this side, we need to remove that stinking dirty drug act that is a violation to our human rights. Until we see that they remove, because all the youth team in Unity Administration, you are went in there discarding what the judge had state of violation against our rights to use herb, not just Rastafari, the citizens of Singles and Nevis. So you are people of Singles and Nevis. We are laws properly, not the policies. The legislation is policy that make up, not laws. And we need to challenge these stupid legislation that are not value to the use of our people if we're going into our industry. Even though I'm sitting on a part of the licensing authority, it's an embarrassment We have been calling for a moratorium since under the farm administration and calling for a moratorium under this administration, and not even a respectful grounds of that are being stated. But police and army man are still ramp up and are talk about illicit drugs. Well, I have cocaine and I had drugs that I are promoting with the investors and I protect. And then I go after the common man and woman and feel like this is how we go. And so you go. It's time now we stand up for our rights. We ain't looking for a fight, but we will fight if it's necessary. You have a blessed night.
Have a blessed night, my dear brother, Ras Aya. Always stands firm when it comes to his weed, his marijuana. Let me be careful. Let me be careful here, Ras Aya. But always very assertive when it comes to his rights. But let's go back to the lines. Caller, your line. Hello, caller.
Yes, Mr. Liber, you notice I get cut off.
No, you didn't get cut off. Your line dropped out. I didn't cut you off.
Oh, I see.
Make it
yes.
fast.
What I was saying, right? They talk all kind of thing about Timothy Harris. But Timothy Harris used to see that everybody eat in this country. Nobody used to talk about that suffer. And a Toyota said they're hungry. Then I got no money to pay the bills. They're cutting out people come on. Poor people come on left, right, and center in this country. Yeah. They don't care one kick about the poor man who put them inside there. The young man and the young woman, them on the street, got the subject, but no work there. And all kind of old people in government I work, and then I send them home. I'll get them kind of thing there. See what happening over there in the Middle East? Soon we not get no food. Soon we ain't gonna get the food because all kind of country Donald Trump feel like, oh, I depend on America. So everybody gonna feel it all over the world. You hear what I tell you, Mr. Lloyd? But everybody gonna feel it. From the suckling to the breast, everybody gonna feel it. The doctors and the nurses, them, the policemen, them. What about the supermarket? Scarce anybody going in inside the car, they ain't got no money. Scarce anybody going in inside in the supermarket, and Mr. Lloyd, because they ain't have no money. Look at that, he used to give the job, he stop it. The $500 he made Timothy Harris to give poor people, he stop it. Poor people in this country need back the $500, Mr. Loibod. The supermarket people want to say whenever they bring in their stuff in the supermarket, poor people come in and buy them before they got to get expired.
Okay.
The man is not studying nothing.
Okay, my dear.
He ain't studying, he can't want the country, you know. He don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he left that place and talk about your own politics.
Okay.
The people think it and Nevis, you know the man, you know.
I got you. I'm gonna have to edit the Kalai Kwazan. We'll talk sometime on Thursday. Because my time is, I'm out of time, really. I'm really out of time. And always
yes,
like
you have a wonderful night and you get home safe. You get it out.
Okay, my dear. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your contribution. And just to clarify this, marijuana issue, medicinal marijuana, from what I know, is legal in St. Kitts, but it must be regulated, or it is regulated, I should say, because under the immunity, the country created a legal framework through the Cannabis Act. I think it was the Cannabis Act of 2020. The government as well launched the Medicinal Cannabis Authority to regulate the industry and patient access. I think they appointed a CEO, right? And that I know, patients must be approved by a licensed doctor and receive cannabis through licensed dispensaries or pharmacies. I'm not aware that those have been set up. I also know that recreational marijuana is not fully legal, but a small amounts have been decriminalized. but adults can possess up to 2 ounces of 56 grams, I think it is, without attracting criminal charges. Though it perhaps can still lead to a small fine. But selling or trafficking cannabis without a license remains illegal and can carry serious penalties. And that's what I will contribute in terms of a clarification. I hope I did, my Straight Talk family. But as we wind down tonight's programming, we looked at the concerns and the questions as they relate to St. Kitts and Nevis and what we are facing. We raised the first concern about Apex Capital Partners and the founder, Nuri Katz, who runs the online gaming in Nevis. We told you about his relationship with Mark Brantley. Mark Brantley just seemed to attract these people. And for what we understand, and what has been written, Nuri Katz is pretty close to the Kremlin. He met Vladimir Putin, which demonstrated his role as a trusted figure in delicate geopolitical operations, as can be gleaned from your screens. Nuri Katz, we read, promotes the interests of Russia and China in the Caribbean region, effectively turning island states into offshore platforms for Russian special services and corrupt schemes. Mark Brantley, is your online banking or online gaming one of those schemes? Secondly, we spoke of the international media reports as well, that the current supreme leadership in Iran has laundered his money through Nevis. There you are on your monitors again. Moshtaba Khamenei now is the Islamic leader of Iran, following the death of his father. And he speaks to his multi-billion-pound global money laundering operation. Money raised from Iranian oil sales and funds routed through companies registered in St. Kitts and Nevis and the Isle of Man on accounts at banks in the UK, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and the UAE. My Straight Dog family. This is coming from the Daily Mail. And the Daily Mail posted a picture of Moshtaba Khamenei, who is now the Islamic leader. And my Straight Talk family, if these allegations exist and should not be simply dismissed by Mark Brantley, responsible governance requires that any claim or claims affecting the credibility of the nation's financial system must be investigated thoroughly and transparently. And perhaps we need to investigate Mark Brantley himself. Thirdly, the long-standing Citizenship by Investment program of St. Kitts and Nevis has attracted investors from around the world, including clients from Russia, Iran, and China. Why isn't the country told about these nationals? How many have our passports? These are questions that need to be asked by Straight Talk family. But in today's geopolitical environment, even infrastructure projects can become a broader strategic calculation. At the same time, domestic discourse reflects these international issues. We spoke of the former government minister Gada, who seemed to be promoting the Prime Minister. Is he an advisor to the Prime Minister? But he's anti-US, no doubt. And while freedom of speech must be always respected, statement made by Gada has shaped perceptions and has shaped a particular perception during this heightened geopolitical tension around the world. But I raise the most controversial issue currently confronting the Federation is the unfolding of the Destiny Project itself in Nevis, promoted by Oliver Johnson. And this proposal seeks sweeping exemptions. 10,000 investment units they're looking for. That would translate into 40,000 new citizens. For Little St. Kitts and Nevis, such a demographic shift could have profound social, economic, and political consequences. Many observers have described this possibility as nothing less than a demographic suicide. Even cabinet members don't know where they will be coming from. The additional concerns about the conflict of interest between the Premier and his spouse, Mama Brantley. And my Straight Talk family, advocacy must remind us that democracy does not reside only in parliaments. It lives in the vigilance of citizens and organizations. And again, we commend the Nevis Civil Society and its co-founder, Glendale Herbert. We wish them well. We wish them success, my Straight Talk family. But Brantley is as bright as a 20-watt bulb and doesn't understand, it seems, that the government is not bound if the proposal is not signed. And these are basic principles of contract and administrative law. I remember doing contract law. Is an offer and acceptance. And this not signed by the authorized official who is the Prime Minister indicates that the government has not formally accepted or approved the terms. So, my Straight Talk family, the ignorance of Mark Brantley created a resulting strain between the federal and island authorities, Nevis Island authorities. But in a world where trust determines alliances, perception can be as powerful as reality. My Straight Talk family, this is truly an hour of decision for the Caribbean, and especially for St. Kitts and Nevis. The Western Hemisphere is entering a new era of security cooperation. Alliances are tightening. Intelligence sharing is becoming more selective. Nations are increasingly judged by the transparency of their institutions and the integrity of their governance. And my Straight Talk family, the Caribbean sits at one of the most strategically important crossroads in the Western Hemisphere. Our waters are not only home to our people and our livelihoods, they are also transit corridors for narcotics, illegal firearms, and transnational criminal networks that threaten the stability of our societies. The Caribbean must not become the weak link. The Caribbean occupies one of the most important maritime crossroads in the world. Our sea lanes connect North America, South America, Europe, and Africa. Energy flows through our waters. Commerce passes through our ports. Global trade routes run through our islands. If these routes are infiltrated by criminal networks, if our financial systems are abused by illicit actors, if our territories become operational spaces for hostile organizations, then our region risks becoming a weak link in the security architecture of the Americas. That is a risk we cannot afford. The hour of decision has arrived. An hour of decision for the United States and the Caribbean. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I must thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. I must thank you, the many viewers, those who listen, those who send emails, and those who call. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Thursday, I leave you with our quotation for the night. Let's not confuse hasty decisions with strength or intelligence. It's important to be decisive after giving consideration that reflects the time that you have and what's at stake. And that's coming from across the Narrows, my quotationist, who provides one every Straight Talk night. But remember that whatever your mind conceives, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye until we connect on Thursday.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food